Tonight, I want to talk about Tesla Motors after their Q3 2019 earnings announcements, the press release statement, and then the 10Q that just came out. I think it's a microcosm, not only specifically about Tesla, but corporate America in general, whether it's WeWork, General Electric, and others that have gotten away with so many accounting improprieties. It's pretty crazy, and yet the regulators are asleep at the wheel. Either they don't care, they're bought off. I don't know exactly. They claim that they don't have the time or resources, but after the 420 per share funding secured tweet, the securities fraud stuff, I think the regulators have backed off Tesla Motors. So Tesla Motors, the share price was at $254.88 on October 23rd. It was pretty flat. Most of the people that spend a lot of time tracking the stock, like we're talking extensive amounts of time, did not expect an earnings beat, and yet there was an earnings beat, and that caused an enormous amount of short covering. It caused a big short squeeze. It fried the shorts. The stock is up to $315.01, a big pop. And the market cap is at $56.427 billion. But digging through the numbers, and this was before the 10Q came out, which is the SEC filings, I'm going to quote some of the analyst coverage that came out. So I was having discussions. One of my friends that spends a lot of time covering Tesla reported a $91 million in profits currency trading. Okay, what is an electric vehicle company and a company that makes solar panels? What are they doing with currency trading and hedges? They claim to make an enormous profit. Almost all of it was with currency trading. And according to this, I'm going to quote my friend here, quote, "The dollar went the other direction in the quarter in every market except Japan, that the currency profit was a total fraud." Let me read a series of tweets now from an analyst, a longtime financial analyst that goes through the accounting. So this person doesn't look at Tesla from the lens of a Silicon Valley unicorn startup that should be valued as a software company and should get extra credit for saving the world. This person looks at cold hard accounting only. This is their analysis through that lens only. The company miraculously posted a net profit, yet revenues are down, which means it's tougher to make a net profit because margins aren't being maintained. Average sale prices per vehicle went down, but somehow gross margins improved. None of this makes any sense. If you look at a company and you see all these things, that revenues are going down, net profit is up, average sales price per electric vehicle is going down, but margins are improving. None of these things make sense. This is why the more experienced investors, the more experienced financial analysts, the people who can actually read financial statements, they tell me they will not go long Tesla. The only people I know who are long Tesla Motors, and for the record, I'm not short Tesla. I've never been short Tesla. I've never told anyone to short Tesla. I'm just trying to cover the truth, the honest facts here. Okay, this is why people who can actually read financial statements, they don't go long Tesla. Anyone who spent time looking through their financial statements, and I have yet to meet anyone who is bullish Tesla who can actually read their financial statements. Oh, I had this jerk who was telling me, this is ridiculous, by the way. I have this screenshotted. I have to call this guy out. It's just ridiculous. He literally told me to quote unquote recant my negative bias for Tesla with the headline numbers on the earnings and the stock price pop. He told me to recant. I mean, is this the Catholic Church and Copernicus? Really? So most people don't care. The average person does not care as long as the stock price stays at the same levels or goes up or the headline numbers. The average person is not going to do the research, is not going to dig into this. There's so many red flags at this company. One of the top hedge fund managers, and by the way, who's short? This guy's name is John Hempson. He runs Bronte Capital. He's Australian. He owns a Tesla. He actually likes their electric vehicles. But he said in an interview on Real Vision Television, he said there is 300 red flags at the company, and he said that he cannot be long the stock, even though he actually likes electric vehicles. I guess then he hasn't had any problems with his warranty or service, because those anecdotal evidence are all over social media and Twitter. So let me continue here. The math isn't adding up, but can't provide further details until the 10Q comes out. Well, the 10Q, this series of tweets from this analyst came out a couple days ago before the 10Q, and the 10Q just said that Tesla's largest market, their US sales, are down 39%. I'll read more of that article from Wolf Richter at Wolf Street. But a lot of the stuff doesn't add up. It's insane. Okay, so on to the next analysis here. Automotive revenues for the electric vehicles down 12% year over year. This is not a growth stock. This is a busted growth stock. If revenues are down, okay, they're growing the amount of electric vehicles they produce, but revenues are down. That probably means they're discounting. They're either leasing more of these or they're discounting these heavily if revenues are down, despite the amount of electric vehicles they're manufacturing going up. So this is a, quote, growth stock with a unicorn valuation showing revenue declines, average sales price down, yet gross margin up quarter over quarter. Does not make sense. Most likely they achieved this through financial tricks, reducing warranty reserves, capitalizing costs they use to expense, recognizing deferred revenue, and including non-ZEV. I think those are the credits that they can sell. I'm not exactly sure though. I know some of the analysts know this more than I do. I don't spend a lot of time covering Tesla. Special GHG credits without noting it in the earnings release. Still unclear if vendors are temporarily offering reduced prices and clawbacks. Likeliest cause of margin improvement, browbeaten vendors. Solar installations down 83% since the fourth quarter 2015, yet company says energy, solar and battery will eclipse automotive in the future. Sales, general, and administrative down to 9% of revenues, with customers complaining of lack of service. This is a vertically integrated company that services their own cars. They opened 13 new service centers this quarter. How on earth did they reduce selling, general, and administrative costs? Research and development down 5% of revenues, while developing Model Y, new Roadster, Semi, Cybertruck, and full self-driving. Are they capitalizing research and development costs? And another person here who was compiling this thinks they are. No restructuring charges this quarter, yet had $300 million of restructuring charges over the last 5 quarters. Okay, sounds like Enron or close to Enron level accounting tricks. And I've been speaking with a former Fortune 500 CEO in emails and hearing some of the other tricks that companies like General Electric and some of these other large corporations play with the income statement and sticking stuff in the goodwill and manufacturing higher stock prices in the get-rich-quick scheme. This is insane. The amount of the accounting red flags. And you know what? When I talk to entrepreneurs, when I talk to tech people, they don't want to hear any of these details. They don't want to hear facts. They are ignoring reality. They say, I trust Elon. I believe in Elon. I would never bet against Elon. But look at all these accounting problems. Why have the people in the accounting department of Tesla almost 100% turnover in the last couple years? Tell me this. So why would people who are at supposedly a company that's going to save the world, a fast-growing tech company, software company, value-added, with high margins, blah, 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 why would they give up millions of dollars investing stock options to get the F out of the company? Why are they leaving? Why is the automated driving software, why is that team leaving? Why is the chief technology officer, who was there since almost the beginning, why is he sold a lot of his shares and left? There are a lot of Tesla employees who have sacrificed millions of dollars in their stock options to leave the company. Crazy stuff. I think the people that believe in Tesla, it really is a cult asking me to recant. Oh man, I feel like Copernicus sometimes. Literally asking me to recant my negative bias. I'm not short the stock. I've never been short the stock. I've never told anyone to short the stock. But it's nuts, the stuff that some of these companies get away with. Absolutely insane. And then no one in that camp talks about the securities fraud, the $420 per share. That was one of the most egregious cases of fraud I've ever seen in my life. No one cares. Not only that, but Tesla is now ramping up expansion in China And guess what? One of the top electric vehicle automakers in China, this is according to Yuan Talks, which covers a lot of Chinese news. They're at YUANTALKS on Twitter. Chinese NEV, which is electric vehicle maker BYD Auto, sliding in Shenzhen and Hong Kong after it posted an 88.6% drop in Q3 profit. The company expects 2019 full-year net profit to fall by as much as 43% as China's electric vehicle sales plunge following a cut in government subsidies. So Tesla is entering the China market when China's economy is slowing down, when China's removing subsidies, and now Elon Musk is in bed like Ray Dalio. And if you don't believe me about Dalio, read Dalio's book Principles, where Dalio talks glowingly for almost a chapter about China and how much he loves China. He's been visiting for 20 years. He's gotten access to deals and investments and other perks in China that other outsiders, foreigners would never have access to. So he's doing marketing. He's in bed with the Chinese government, Dalio is, and doing marketing in the last 4 or 5 months for the Chinese government. Now Elon Musk is in bed with China, and I believe Tesla's not even paying for they're not even fronting the capital for the Gigafactory, in Shanghai. So now he's in bed with China. He's in bed with the Chinese government, which is dangerous because you have to be if you're a large corporation there. You have to be willing to sacrifice a lot. And if Tesla has any good intellectual property or research and development, and I really don't think they do, I think they're really far behind in the autonomous driving, and I think it's very dangerous what the regulators here in the United States are allowing Tesla to get away with their self-driving BS marketing promotion. If Tesla did have good intellectual property, once that Gigafactory is up in China with their batteries or whatever tech they're doing, in 2 to 3 years from now, the Chinese would just copy it and steal it for free. Look what Huawei has done to Apple and Samsung and the other foreign competitors. Huawei has all that technology. They got it for free. Yeah, this is getting close to, I wasn't around covering markets during Enron, so those of you who have more experience, I've been doing this for 10 years now. Those of you who've been doing this for longer than me can tell me if you think this is up there with Enron or not in the comment section. But this is getting unbelievable, the stuff that they can get away with. And I'm not predicting bankruptcy for Tesla because they did a capital raise, but they're going to blow through their cash if they're running the company this inefficiently. So they're going to have to do another capital raise. You have Bethany McLean investigating fraud with the state of New York, how Tesla, the Solar City part of Tesla, got hundreds of millions of dollars in government contracts and subsidies and hasn't produced anything. She has a full article out on this. She is very well respected investigative financial journalist. I think she's even a Democrat, so she probably did like Tesla before she started investigating. And now Elon Musk is attacking her character. He's going after Lynette Lopez and others. I think they're we'll see what happens with the subsidies with Tesla, because their subsidies here in the US are about to be gone because they're producing a lot of electric vehicles. They have an enormous amount of competition coming. No, I don't want to go to Mars. I don't not first anyway. I don't want to be a beta tester. No, thank you. Well, you have all these other car companies that are going to get the electric vehicle tax credit, the subsidy. The competition in the next 3 or 4 years is coming. So Tesla should have been in China 5 years ago. The Chinese economy is crashing. It's at least contracting. If you look at the official government data, it's contracting violently. If you look at a lot of the anecdotal stuff and the stuff I've heard, China's economy is falling a lot. Car sales are down a lot. This is not the right time for Tesla to be entering the Chinese market. They should have done it a while ago. Again, I'm not short the stock. I'm not recommending anyone short the stock. This is insane, the stuff that the CEO and the executives are getting away with. But why are the people sacrificing their stock options? Why are people leaving millions of dollars on the table and getting out of the company? There was interesting stuff that came out after the Tesla earnings release before the 10Q. You had Plainsight releasing the deposition documents from the lawsuit about Tesla bailing out Solar City. There's some very interesting deposition stuff from Elon Musk and his brother Kimball Musk, how all of their share positions are all leveraged on margin, an insane amount. There's an enormous amount of corporate malfeasance. All the boards of SpaceX, Solar City, Tesla are all connected, so there's no investor protections whatsoever. Oh, that's funny. Tesla's financing is too advanced for me to understand. It's literally out of this world. They're doing even crazier accounting tricks than the large US banks are. The PE ratio, they don't even have consistent earnings. If you go to Yahoo Finance for the PE ratio and try to look it up on Tesla Motors, it says not available. No, I think Elon's so desperate to protect his empire that he's now in bed with the Chinese government, which is not a good idea. If you read Peter Schweitzer's book or you listen to what Kyle Bass has said on his Twitter about people taking money from the Chinese government in Europe and the US, it's a very, very bad idea to take a lot of money from the Chinese government. But I think out of desperation, Elon has taken a lot of money from the Chinese government. I don't know if the regulators are asleep at the wheel. I think they're scared of how much money Elon has and his reputation. There's a couple regulatory agencies that are not doing a good job here, unfortunately. The most dangerous one is it's not the NTSB, it's one of the other safety agencies, and they're allowing Tesla to promote full autopilot when it's not full autopilot. Yes, I saw Sandstorm Gold's Q3 2019 earnings. They were solid. Did I say mining and oil were good long-term investments? I've talked about the dangers of investing in individual mining companies more than anyone in my space. And I've been bearish on shale oil companies almost a year now. Owning individual mining companies and individual oil and gas companies, very, very dangerous as a long-term investor. There's so many things that can go wrong, especially for a mining company. I may have to do another mining stock education and do a lecture on just maintenance capital expenditure, maintenance CapEx. I may do that in the near future. Ross says the competition has let Tesla prove the market. Now the competitors will come in and take over. Yes, they will take market share. And Tesla should have been making profits while the competitors were getting ready. And they did not. There's always aggressive accounting, Carl. Carl says 90% of corporations are cooking the books. It's different degrees. So there's always aggressive accounting. I've had Francine McKenna on. I forgot to pull up her website and check to see if she has a new article on Tesla. So let me just check real quick. See if she has a new article out on Tesla. Hopefully it won't freeze. Because sometimes when I look up a website, they freeze while I'm doing a live stream. Oh, actually, let me look at her on Market Watch. Let me see if there's an article up there. Nope, I don't see one yet. In this environment, there's not a lot of good long-term investments. The valuations, the central banks, the governments and central banks have overinflated all asset prices and valuations. There's not a lot of good long-term investments. That's the sad part. Campbell Soup has no revenue growth. It's trading like a growth stock. It's got a really bad balance sheet with debt to equity ratio and a bunch of other bad metrics on it. And it's trading at 64 times earnings, Campbell Soup. And if you go to the grocery store at different times and you walk down the soup aisle, you won't see any customers really buying soup. It's just not a popular brand anymore. Consumer preferences have changed. There's a lot of drastically overpriced stocks right now. Bonds are very risky due to financial repression by governments and central banks and Japanification. Campbell Soup is a tech company. Jim Cramer said Domino's Pizza is a tech company. My buddy Christopher Irons at QTR, he makes fun of Jim Cramer for saying that Domino's Pizza is a tech company. Koisi says, imagine having a head start for so many years and not dominating the market. Exactly. They should have had tons of profits, tons of free cash flow, and they could protect their market share, their first mover advantage. Now you have all these great electric vehicles coming out. You have the Audi e-tron, the Jaguar, F-Pace or I-Pace, I forget which one. You have the Porsche Taycan, which a bunch of Tesla bulls told me 6 months ago that it would be delayed, that it would take years, and they're already taking deposits. I think the first production units are coming out at the end of this month or next month, something like that, very soon. And BMW and Mercedes are coming out with 6 electrical vehicles each in the next couple years. The competition is going to be absolutely enormous, and those guys all get to subsidize their electric vehicle sales with their regular car businesses, and they also get access to the U.S. government tax credit. And Tesla's not going to get access to that unless the Democrats in the Congress get the tax credit back on Tesla, which is possible. I will admit that's possible. Again, I'm not sure Tesla. I'm just stating reality and facts here. And the 10Q says that the headline numbers were BS. Well, yeah, there's a tax credit for those. It makes sense that Volkswagen would retool. There's a big tax credit. Yeah, and you're a troll who has 3 screen names and I already blocked 2 of them. Bye-bye, buddy. Probably create a third or probably a 4th screen name probably created in the next like 10 minutes. I blocked 1 or 2 of them yesterday and he popped up another one. I knew he'd pop up. I prepared that zinger for him. Hey, if you see a guy named Curtis James, that's like his 3rd or 4th screen name already. So he had like a couple backup screen names. He had Curtis James 1, said some nasty things about me yesterday, blocked that one, and then he had a backup one ready to go. He must be on Elon's payroll. Either that or he's just a useful idiot. Maybe he's on the Chinese government payroll. I know my channel is being watched. Now that China's in deep with Elon. I read a bunch of investing books. I interviewed a bunch of experts. There's hundreds and hundreds of interviews with experts on my channel in the archives. I read over 500 books, thousands of articles, documentaries. I also worked in the financial industry at a number of different jobs. I've been working on and off at different jobs in the financial industry for a decade. No, I think this is an older guy. I think he was probably on Elon's payroll or the Chinese government payroll. Maybe both. Maybe he's diversifying. Okay, so I have a bunch of articles about journalists actually doing good work on Tesla. If you want to read it, doesn't seem to affect the stock price. He is the magician. He is the Wizard of Oz. He is, the amount of fraud he's gone away with so far is actually very similar to what Elizabeth Holmes got away with for years at Theranos. Just an insane amount of fraud. Everyone wanted to believe. And a lot of followers. It's really ironic that this guy told me a couple weeks ago to quote unquote recant, because I've heard a lot of people compare people who love Tesla to a cult. And again, I have yet to meet someone who is long Tesla Motor stock who can actually read their financial statements and knows any of the details of the financial statements. I've not met a single one. All my contacts, and I have hundreds of people in the investing and business space, anyone who's read their financial statements all tells me they are staying far away from the stock. They might not be shorting it, but they won't touch it and go long. Koisi says a lot of fraud in Silicon Valley. I 100% agree. WeWork, SoftBank, the amount of fraud at SoftBank that I've heard is insane. It's not just WeWork, it is pervasive. So I think Tesla has really bad timing going into the Chinese market. China's economy is contracting very, very violently or collapsing, depending upon which data you're looking at, and auto sales are down a lot. Not a good time for Tesla to be in the Chinese market. And if they do have good intellectual property, 2 or 3 years from now after that Gigafactory in Shanghai is built, all the intellectual property and research and development will be stolen for free. Yep, there's accounting fraud at Disney, but I like Marvel. The prices at Disney are insane, how much they've raised it for the theme parks. I remember when I lived in Southern California when I was growing up, and my mom bought annual passes for Disneyland. You can go as many times as you want for the whole year. For each person were $120 with a California state ID. That was a long time ago. And my mom used to want to go to Disneyland when I was younger, like every weekend. So I got dragged to Disneyland all the time. It became not as fun as it should have been. It's like eating filet mignon every day, or eating your favorite steak or favorite food every day. You kind of get bored of it. Okay, well, I will put the articles that are talking about this more in depth in the information and description section, but there's a ton of, let me see if I got everything that I wanted to talk about. Let me check this. Oh, and apparently after this deposition, the board of directors for Tesla may have to pay conflict of interest judgments to shareholders from personal money that's not Tesla money, if this case continues. So this is by shareholders of the bailout of Solar City by Tesla. All the incestuous problems in there. I have no idea if Disney's buying tickets for Star Wars. I haven't seen any articles. You can send me the articles if you have proof of that. I'll take a look. Global protein shortage. Yeah, a lot of this, Anthony, is from the African swine flu in China. Because then China has to import a lot of pork, and then that causes supply problems in the rest of the world. I was going to do a separate show on new China stories, what she has said in the last week, some of the very crazy stuff she has said. Not SHEXI. That's what she said. And then also, I'm hearing from my top source in mainland China that pork prices are going crazy. So, the World Series, I just wanted to do this update. I will put links to the articles in the information and description section if you want to read more about this. But I just want to thank my almost 200 Patreon account contributors. It is growing very rapidly, almost sixfold now in the last 5 months. Sixfold in the last 5 or 6 months. So very, very rapidly, almost up to 200. Hopefully it'll be up to 200 in the next month or two before the end of the year. And thank you very much to my dozen or so monthly PayPal contributors. Much appreciated. Making my life a lot less stressful, allowing me to grow my business. And thank you very much to the people who chip in once in a while. Throw me a tip. It's much appreciated. Also, if you're not a Patreon account contributor, and it is only for Patreon account contributors right now, it's just a promotion. You can see my research work that was better than other analysts on Sandstorm Gold. I spend a lot of time researching the company, know an enormous amount about the company, a lot of time looking through the other mines, their partners. There's an extensive 9-page article that's only behind the paywall on my Patreon. You can sign up for $5 a month. 9-page article on Sandstorm Gold, and Sandstorm Gold just released another very solid Q3 2019 results, looking like at least $70 million in free cash flow next year for 2020. Looking like really solid company. And yet the Seeking Alpha article writers are telling you don't buy the stock, short it. There's one guy, his articles have disappeared because what Seeking Alpha does is after about a couple weeks or a month, they put it in the archive, so you have to sign up for Seeking Alpha Pro to see his old articles. There's one guy that's been bearish on Sandstorm Gold all the way up since the stock was like $3.50 or $3.80 a share 18 or so months ago. And he's been recommending sell the stock, short the stock. He doesn't know anything about the stock. It's just absolutely ridiculous. He knows absolutely nothing. He was trying to get me banned from Seeking Alpha because I was just using facts to counter all of his arguments. It's very dangerous if you listen to the wrong research. He didn't know that their biggest source of cash flow, the Cerro Moro silver stream was coming online earlier this year. And then the Arizona royalty from Equinox Gold. He didn't know any of this stuff. Totally off. Totally off. He knew absolutely nothing about the company. All of his articles for the last 18 months have basically been copy and paste jobs. And all of his bad calls, bad analysis, bad research, bad writing, all disappeared behind the paywall. You couldn't see it. So he can pretend his track record's good. But I know otherwise. And so when he writes the next Sandstorm Gold article, probably in the next couple days or a week or so, and it's bashing the company and telling you to sell the shares and dump the shares and short the shares, and the company's totally mismanaged and don't know what they're doing, I'm going to write in the comment section under the article, you were the same guy that was saying sell the stock at $3.80 a share and didn't know what the hell you were talking about, didn't know anything going on about the company. Now the stock is up almost $3 per share more. And they're going to keep adding more growth and cash flow to the pipeline. Franco-Nevada is a superb company. Hopefully someday Sandstorm Gold will turn into Franco-Nevada. Franco-Nevada is going to, I think, add 50% cash flow growth in the next 5 years, even if the gold price does nothing. So if the gold price does nothing, Franco-Nevada will still have 50% growth in their cash flow. Okay, well, that's it for right now. I want to thank everyone for listening, and I'm going to work on the best possible research, unique content available on the internet about investing in the economy. And it was predictable the Fed would do another rate cut. And how many people heard what the Fed speak said when they said fiscal policy, quote unquote? How many times we should have a Jerome Powell fiscal policy drinking game? Excuse me, a Jerome Powell fiscal policy or Fed speak policy if a Fed governor or Fed president does a speech and mentions the phrase fiscal policy, drinking game. Although I can't do the drinking game because then I'm going to get nasty messages and emails accusing me of being an alcoholic because a couple weeks ago I drank one light beer while I was doing a live stream show. Okay, that's it for right now. Everyone have a nice rest of your week, and of course there will be more content coming soon.